he was kind of sketched out by what he found. So.
Oh, you went really echoey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, I'm echoing too. How do I fix that?
Oh, it's like Google Hangout echo.
Is it echoing for you too?
I hear echoing.
Is anybody else here echoing?
Kim?
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear myself. Yeah.
Life with baby here's echoing.
Well, okay. What you need to know is if you're on the right-hand side looking at all the messages, if you have a question to ask, you want to do a Slack queue. I'll do a quick demo for you. This is the question format. All right. What that will do is it'll make sure that we don't miss your question as everything scrolls through. If you like something somebody's saying, you want to click on the two hands going, woo, props. Like if you guys want to click on mine now, just so you get it.
Or click on mine. You can click on mine.
or mine. Right there.
Oh, yay,
no,
look.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. There we go.
We're getting hands.
Nobody's clicking on mine, though. I'm really sad.
No, you're pointing the wrong way. Point to the other corner.
I know.
But I'm pointing to mine.
No, not on mine. Maybe because we're turned. Okay, never mind.
All right, we're still waiting for Paula. Maybe she's having technical difficulties, but I'm going to go ahead and do an intro of myself and Julie, and then we'll let Kimberly introduce herself and Paula when she comes online. So I'm Fadra. I'm a blogger at ultimatefadra.com. You may not know this about me, but I used to work in the travel industry. I worked for almost 4 years back in the day when you could actually...
Your mic's really messed up all of a sudden.
Mine is?
Yeah.
It is not messed up for me.
Okay, try talking.
Oh, you're echoing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's way
Earphones.
worse.
Gotta use the earphones.
I've got mine in. Nothing else on.
So that's okay. You do technical difficulties, and you're fine. I'll jump to
plug back in. You were fine. It was better.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We don't normally have this many technical difficulties.
Let's see. Let me try that. All right. Paula's having trouble dialing.
No, you need your mic in, Phaedra. Anyway, guys, I'm Julie, and I am at julienowell.com and www.threechickensinaboat.com. I'm a blogger and a strategist. I do, blogger outreach on my personal blog. I'm also the publisher of Blunt Moms, which is a collaborative site. I do strategy and development through my business, and I do a lot of blog mentorships, which is kind of how I look at these blabs, where we get the chance to come on air and talk to you influencers or those who want to be bloggers, and answer questions and provide solutions and ideas and advice. Over to you, Phaedra.
Well, Paula's having technical difficulties. I think we're all having technical difficulties.
I hope everybody brought wine.
I wasn't sure what I have Stella cider. My husband.
Cider works. Cider works.
All right.
Well, we might just be a threesome tonight.
Paula can't figure it out. I don't know. Does she have her webcam on?
That's a good question.
It doesn't sound quite as good as yours. I should have had a better elevator pitch, I guess. I'm all about helping families get outside, create memories together, encouraging them with tips and ideas, destinations.
Well, see, that's good.
I know. I was like, wait, I should give my elevator pitch, I guess. Sorry.
But you are a real live travel blogger.
I am. I do travel blog. Yes.
Okay. So talk to us about how that started. So you said, I would like to be a travel blogger. And then all of a sudden.
Yes. Everything just came to me. I went to France and Germany. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. My husband, actually, I would have friends that would always come to me and say, hey, we want to go here. Or we want to do this. So what should we do? And just kept coming. And my husband finally said, there's this thing called blogging and it's kind of big now. So why don't you start a blog and share all that information with everyone out there and make a career out of it? And I said, okay, sounds good. And then just taught myself from the ground up. And travel blogging is definitely different. So my goal was to do travel blogging, but we don't travel. We're not a nomadic family. So we still live at home and go to school and everything here. So we're not traveling that often. And I realized that as a travel blogger, I needed to make content. And so then I started adding a little bit of the lifestyle focus in there, just so I would have more content to write about. But it comes down to travel blogging. That's my goal. That's my desire. Getting to the point where I can monetize that is where I'm at now.
Very cool. Yeah. And see, Fadra, I think you're a travel blogger.
Travel, oh God, the echo's really bad. I'm sorry. Traveling is a hobby of mine. Like I said, I worked in the travel industry, and I joined not for the money, but because I wanted to be able to travel and I couldn't afford it. So I did that and took a lot of great trips and realized it's better to make money and just pay for your travel than to work. That's kind of an interesting thing to think about when it comes to travel blogging, because I think a lot of people think these people are getting paid to travel all over the world. And that's not necessarily the case. So what I do in terms of traveling is whenever I have the opportunity to go somewhere, whether it's on my own vacation, my own dime, or maybe I'm doing a press trip for something completely unrelated to the destination where I'm going, I will also turn that into a travel piece on my blog. And I use Periscope for that a lot too, because I like to bring people along with me and help them experience things that they don't otherwise get a chance to do.
Yeah. And I watched your Periscopes from your trip last week to beaches, right?
That was an awesome trip.
Beaches.
That was a great trip. That was an awesome trip. I was there too. That was
great. I was not. Okay. Yeah, maybe next year. But I felt there was value to the Periscopes that you were offering, because you were saying, this is the walk to the beach, these are the restaurants, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, but it was a little tough because you don't always know what people want to see. Like, do they want to see a hotel? Do they want to see another view of the beach? Mm-hmm. I just try to show people, if they haven't been there, what they might expect, not just from the destination, but really from the resort. Because I thought that was the best first-person view that I could give.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's one opportunity that Periscope has where, because people can look at websites, you can look at reviews, you can even read blog posts, but Periscope's kind of cool in that it is a first-hand experience of, hey, are you looking at how I'm walking to get to the beach? This is how far the distance is, or this is what the distance is like between the villages, or here's what it sounds like if you have a room next to the pool or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I think that has value. So, Fadra, you had some questions. Do you want to work through those? I know Paula's having a really hard time getting in, but I think that there's still value in us.
She's on her mobile, and maybe if she goes desktop,
that might
be
help.
Easier.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted to, since we're kind of travel people, we love travel, right? That's why we do it.
Yeah.
What's your favorite travel destination and why? Or maybe what place you'd love to go you haven't had a chance to yet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Julie starting?
I wish I could say anywhere. What's my favorite? Anywhere? Anywhere is my favorite travel destination.
Outside your house?
Send me to, send me 30 minutes away and I'll be happy. No, to me, I like to go to places where we can explore the world. We did a lot of traveling when we were younger. So I do actually have travel content on my site. We've been to Europe, oh God, I think like 19 times.
Well, that's something to sneeze at.
I know, but it's not, I haven't written about it.
Well, you should.
You should write about
it. To that point, if you're interested in writing about travel, but you haven't had travel opportunities, take some of the opportunities that you've had and exploit them on your blog. So, for example, I went to China in 2005, and back when we did have digital cameras.
Yeah.
I did Europe before we had digital cameras. And, oh God, that makes it sound really old. But and what I wanted to do is I wanted to show people a different side of China. So I did I did a series called Armchair Travel, where
That's cool.
I tried to help people experience things that they probably aren't going to see in their lifetime. And I talked about the food, which you guys showed me that post. Very interesting experience. And a tourist point of view, and then a side of China that you might typically see. So So use your previous experience to talk about that on your blog as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, we did a ton of travel. I lived in Australia for a year. I've been to South America, Brazil, Peru, Europe, England, Ireland, Scotland, Germany, France, Andorra, Liechtenstein, Spain.
Wait a minute. Who's the travel writer? No, I'm
Right.
But since we have kids, I mean, we've been to the UK and stuff like that, but we haven't done a lot of great adventures with our kids. And I think as a parent, that's what I would prefer talking about. Traveling as a youth, well, just fill a backpack and grab some coin and get on a plane, right? But as a parent, it's a whole different ballgame.
Well, and that's a good point. So, Kim, maybe you want to talk about the fact whether or not you are a family travel blogger, an independent travel blogger. Because for me, once I had my son, I kind of stopped all travel because I got panicked, like the idea of taking a baby somewhere and car seats. And so talk about that a little.
I think that happens so often. So I do have a very heavy family travel focus. I also do like travel tips or destination focus because you do get sent on press trips where your family is not included. So occasionally you can have a storyline and idea and go to that destination and write it thinking, oh, how would kids interact here? Or so you can definitely still write from a family travel aspect. But yeah, we definitely started traveling with our kids. We both lived, our families are stretched out. Like I'm originally from Kansas. My husband's family is in Edmonton, and then we're in Seattle now. So when we had our kids, we were just like, okay, we're not going to stop traveling. And I didn't travel much as a kid. So for my husband and I, when we got married, we started traveling. And then after 3 years, when we had kids, we thought, well, you just take the kids with you. It wasn't even a concept to us. So
such a great idea.
I know. I was like, well, you just figure it out. And there weren't blogs and stuff at that time. So I don't know how I did it. But so yeah, we just picked them up, took road trips up to Canada, took, flights back to Kansas City to visit my family, and the kids just came along. So then pretty soon we went to Hawaii for our youngest year birthday. I was pregnant. We had another one. We went to England when I was pregnant with our 2-year-old. And so yeah, our kids have always been along. We've never really, it definitely adjusts how you travel.
Yeah.
So you can do a lot less, and it takes a lot more thought about, okay, where are we going to eat? When are we going to stop? Is this in a safe place? Or how easy is it to get around? I mean, we rented a car in Cancun and had a Cadillac stroller, and that was a whole lesson on what not to do. And so you just there's these little things where you definitely have to have some considerations when you add family to it. But I don't think at all that families should stop traveling. And my kids now are some of the best travelers because they stay so young. And so now they just, a big road trip or a flight, and they just
hunker into it. Good.
Yeah.
So now what are the opportunities for you as a parent to get these family travel opportunities? So how does that deal, work? Like from a person who doesn't get travel ops, I get sponsored ops and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Does a brand just approach you and say, what?
Yeah, so most often it's that I've had, we just have a dog and a kid.
Real life, baby, real life, right?
Exactly. Most often it's been press trips where you're invited often with another group of people that you go and see the destination, and they line you up, and it's pretty packed. You get up in the morning, you're going here, straight through, finishing out after dinner, you go back to your hotel, you get up and do it again. And it's normally pretty quick. Yeah. So I have one coming up next week that I fly in on the 10th, and it's for Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. We're there for dinner the day of the 11th, and then we leave the afternoon of the 12th. So they just get you in and out, and you're shoved full of stuff. So that's kind of an often one. A popular way of doing it. But when I was starting out, it was more me pitching companies directly. So I would say, oh, we're planning on going to Orlando, or I'm just throwing that out there, but we're going to go to Houston, Texas. I'm going to find a hotel that we would like to stay at that would match my readership. So then you contact them directly and reach out to, a lot of times, the convention and visitor bureaus, which in travel blogging language, those are called CVBs. So
I knew that.
I did not know when I was starting and I would hear people say, oh, the CVB there, or oh, just contact the CVB. And I was like, okay, great. And then what is CVB? And there's a lot of acronyms for CVB out there, but that's what it stands for, Convention Visitors Bureau.
So how social media savvy would you say these CVBs are? Are most of them willing and excited and able to work with bloggers in some way, or influencers, I should say?
I would say it's a mix. Some of them definitely know bloggers. They want to get in on it. They kind of feel like, oh, if they have the product, they're happy to give it for a little bit of exposure. But there's a lot of them that still are in the old journalistic style. Like, I know that I've had a lot of times where you have a media request form you have to fill out. So it'll say stuff like,
hold the phone there. Paula may be joining us.
It's almost like a 22-hour delay of a flight, eh?
Yeah, nice. Nice persistence there.
Well, that's a good point, though. When you're a travel blogger, you got to roll with the punches.
You got to roll with it. There's flight delays, all sorts of crazy stuff. Welcome,
you never
Paula.
Sorry about that. I apologize. Yeah, I'm just like, well, I can see everything happening except it just won't let me come. So I'm like, all right, I'll just wait it out.
Well, you fixed it. It's all good. You were persistent and you got it done. It was good. It was
very
good.
nice.
Paula, while you have our attention, why don't you give a quick intro for yourself?
I came into social media completely unexpectedly. It's been a fantastic ride. For me, it happened through Pinterest and has now led itself to more experiential travel like we're talking about today, and blogging and so forth. So you can find me on Twitter at Coop Paula, which is COOPPAULA. I also have a website which kind of connects you to all my other social media platforms. But thank you so much for having me to this. I'm excited. This is my first time doing this, so
clearly,
I apologize.
You seem like such an expert.
Give her more props. Give her more props. You're doing a good job.
And I like the web guy. He loves the persistence, right? And that's actually a good lesson to be learned in this business, because no matter what you're pitching, whether it's travel or whether it's brands or whatever it is, you will get no a lot. So I liked hearing how you started out with, let me see what's going on. I happen to be traveling here. Let me reach out. And so Paula, why don't you talk about, are you generally pitching, or because of your influence, do you now have people coming to you with opportunities?
I do. It's a combination of both. I think the hustle never stops. And I think dependent on, as we evolve and you kind of recognize in yourself new things that are of interest, you kind of take those paths and go that way. But for me, it's a combination of both. I just did a 9-day travel trip down to Nevis, working with their tourist board. And then that lent itself to doing some work with the Marriott on St. Kitts, and then stopping in even to Miami on the way home to work with a boutique hotel there, which was fantastic.
It sounds terrible.
I know.
Why do they send you to such terrible places? That's what I never understand.
I don't know. Well, it was pretty horrible.
So let's talk about destinations for a second. So it's not all Caribbean, sunshiny. Kim, you were talking about, to me, all I heard was Nowheresville, Louisiana or something. Where did you say you were going?
Jefferson Parish, Louisiana.
Okay. No disrespect.
By New Orleans.
No disrespect to anybody out there who might be from Jefferson Parish, but the reality is that not everything is a glamorous trip. That there are people that want to know, where can I go in my own backyard, or where can I do a close road trip or something inexpensive for the family. So they're all different types of travel. And I know some people focus specifically on luxury travel as well. So,
and I think that's,
I think that's what I want. I want to be like the luxury travel blogger. Does that happen? There's a lot of make that happen.
Julie, you got to work on your diva qualities. I think you need to step that up.
I can't wear my chucks and bring a backpack. right?
Well, you can, but then you got to play it off like you're a celebrity,
I'm
and you
celebrity.
you know.
I'm playing it down, right? Playing it down.
Well, then you need shades and a hat.
Yeah, so I gotta have
doing the
Life of the Daily thought you said Paris, not Parish.
Oh, I would love to go to Paris. Yeah.
I heard
Paris
Paris
CBD
too.
if you're listening.
Paris CBD is listening in. Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like wine, so.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Oh la la. So let's since it's 9:25 already, let's get to the nitty gritty, which is, are you making money as a travel blogger? And I'm not asking you to disclose how much you're making, but are you making money as a travel blogger? And how? Because I think this is a misconception. I know plenty of travel bloggers that the trip itself is really just, that's, I don't want to say compensation, but you're not getting paid to attend a trip. I know a lot of people, and I know we talked about this at Beaches, a lot of people use this as a platform to get paying freelance travel writing gigs. So you guys talk about that a little bit.
For me, it definitely was a platform. Like, I think it was the first big trip that I've really done in this capacity. So it was also about kind of proving that I could and how I would handle creating content. And then, of course, just making those contacts and so forth as well. And it did give me opportunity to move into already some more work from this. So I think it's like anything. It's like, for me, I started with doing stuff that was more local, like supporting local businesses. And when the aquarium started up, kind of doing a piece for them, just to show that you're kind of able to come in and take a look at something and how you write about it and photograph it and kind of share that to your audience is really important. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I haven't been paid in the traditional sense, like, you go and the trip itself was fantastic. And to me was payment. And yeah, I think if you kind of keep your ears to the ground, it allows you to meet other people and other opportunities come your way, which is also really fantastic. So yeah, I've never been on a paid one. Yeah. In that way. Like no, it's definitely about the experience sort of thing.
I do know that there are a few that are paid, but it's very rare and they are pretty big names. I know Instagram, there's some Instagram travel influencers, I would say, because it's more, and they will receive compensation as well as the trip to Instagram. But yeah, the majority of everyone I've talked to, the trip is kind of what you do, and the way you make money off of it is typically through freelancing. So you might go to a trip and then you're selling it, or another thing that you'll use is if you write for another outlet, you can use them as leverage then to get on a trip as well. So I know a friend who just went to Costa Rica and it was for a freelance publication that she's with. Right. And so she was covering it for them. So you can get paid in that way, but I have received 2 opportunities through like ad networks that know that I'm a travel writer. And so it's like, if a hotel comes to them, then you can make money just kind of like a sponsored post. Yeah. So, but that's very rare. And I do not think that's a common thing. Most often, everything I've received, you've got to figure out a way. And that's the big thing, is figuring out a way to monetize until you become, if you can get huge and you have this great influence or you've got a great voice somewhere, then you can probably start requesting money on top of it. But until that comes along, you're going on the trip and you've got to either advertise, like make it through what you're drawing in traffic or.
So what do you think makes, and I know this is a totally subjective question, but what do you think makes some people huge? Is it voice? Is it photography? Is it
how they wear a bikini?
Hey, if I could do that, I would.
Hey, I did that at Beaches. The whole, like, one of the Instagram posts.
You're like,
you did your.
I know.
If I did that, I would have lost a lot of followers.
I'll be in a whole other search category.
I know. I was a little worried about what my follower count who I would end up with, but I was clear. So it was
So we do have a question, Life with a Baby, who obviously has a baby, I would guess, says, not interested in traveling without her family. Is it bad to turn down ops that don't include family? Thoughts, anyone?
I think it depends on what you want. I mean, the trip that I just did, I didn't take my family. I would have loved to, but then in the same breath, I had no time. Like I was working literally and did. Yeah. And even when you're traveling, because you've kind of got to record the experience and how you got there and that sort of thing, dependent on what sort of content you're creating out of it. So I understand the want to take the family, like that would have been amazing, but it's not like going on a family trip. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, you're in these absolutely stunning locations, but it's itinerized from the moment you wake to the moment you go to bed. And you work.
It's kind of like working in an ice cream shop, right?
Yeah.
You look at people working in an ice cream shop, you're like, dude, you're working in an ice cream shop. You're ice cream all day long. You can eat ice cream all day long.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you're working in an ice cream shop, and after a certain amount of time, you're just sick and tired of ice cream.
Yeah. This summer, I took a vacation with my family. I didn't pitch anyone. I didn't ask for anything. We literally went away and had a vacation. And that's what I get so many friends, and I'm sure Paula knows this, is you have so many friends that go, oh, it must be nice to go on all these trips and all these free vacations. Yeah. And like Paula says, no, like you are working it.
Right. My mom has a habit of saying, well, I know you're going on that vacation. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a vacation. And I think to the point of, and you can comment if you'd like, when it comes to, even if you are trying to position yourself as a family travel blogger, they're not necessarily interested in you showing your family going on a trip. They want you to write about why this might be good for someone else's family or someone with children. It's not necessarily like, look, my husband loved it, I loved it. It's and to the point of your the trips you were talking about. So having been in the travel industry, we used to call them fam trips. I don't know if they still call them that.
Yeah.
It's a
but it doesn't stand for family.
No, it stands for familiarization. See, I'm just throwing out some of the lingo.
Yeah, you're good.
But it was literally that, and I've been on those types of trips as a blogger as well, where you were like nonstop.
Yeah.
And even my husband's like, I didn't hear from you at all today. Well, because when I had a moment, I'm really just breathing, or you're catching up on your email. Or
you're doing laundry. I was doing laundry at the Four Seasons at 11 o'clock at night, so I had enough clothing for the next day.
That is so glamorous.
That's nice.
That's very glamorous.
There's an image for you.
I was on a 3-week trip, and I was doing laundry at the Extended Stay America. So that was not hosted. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that.
So I wanted to also. This is really kind of what sparked the discussion this week, and again, it's Life with a Baby, asked me on Twitter, because last week we talked about blogging conferences and if they're worth your time and money. Mm-hmm. And she asked me about some of the travel conferences, the travel blogging. I'd say travel blogging and just travel conferences in general. Like I know there was just TBEX down in Fort Lauderdale,
I was there,
which is a big one. So I'd love to hear about that. And also, so what kind of travel blogging conferences do you go to? Are they worthwhile for you? Is it mainly for the networking, which is what I've heard about TBEX? But I'd also like to hear about maybe conferences or other events that you attend that aren't specific to blogging. They're more specific to the travel industry.
I can't contribute to this because, being honest, I've never attended a travel conference. I have attended conferences, and they have sometimes led themselves to travel opportunities, but I've never come at it that way. So I can't, you know what I mean? I can't say anything.
Paula's just awesome on her own.
Yeah.
She doesn't need help.
No, I have a lot of, no, trust me, there's a lot. But, I would be fascinated to do it now that I'm getting more into it, sort of thing. I feel like I'd have a much better understanding, and just even with the lingo and so forth, with what you pick up. But no, I can't say because I've never done it. So,
yeah.
So I'll speak up to what I've done. So I've done 2 family travel conferences that are through TMS, and they do a showcase, which is they also kind of their largest one, and it's just travel brands in general. Then they have the family travel one. Then they have a summit, which is it's like 15 or 20 bloggers, I think, or writers, not even necessarily bloggers. That's another thing with the travel world is it's not all travel bloggers. There's photographers, there's like videographers. There's another, world there with that. So the family travel conferences are good. I've loved both opportunities. They're very small. I think there's about 50 of us attending, and it's an invite only. You can apply for it and then they invite you or not. And so that one's been good. It's more, I think, based on now my second year, it's more about the opportunities that the destination that it's hosted at. So the one year I went, it was in Carlsbad. This year it was in Kansas City. So it's an opportunity to reach out to that destination and share about that destination. So it's kind of like you're on a fam trip in a way. And then you're also have a bit of the conference where occasionally you might pick up a tip or pick up something. Once you've been in it for a while, I feel like a lot of the conferences, the courses that are taught are kind of not as helpful because you're already where you are. But every once in a while you get tips that are helpful. But it really comes down to the connection that you make with CVVs and brands that are there that are in the travel sphere. You're getting your business card in their hands. You're talking to them about their destination. It gives you a name in your Rolodex. So if you're ever going to go to Jefferson Parish, or I'm just throwing that one out there because we're laughing about it. I'm going to keep speaking. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to make you.
Jefferson Parish is going to be like the best hit spot in the next.
I know. Like
you're going to be like, our traffic went through the roof.
I will
say I just went to my San Juan Island post went live today, so that's a good one. So
you should have waved to me because I'm just north of that.
Oh, I could have just waved.
You could actually wave.
I was sea kayaking. I could see Vancouver Island from Limekiln State.
Well, I'm Salt Spring.
Oh, so see,
so I'm literally the Canadian version, the better version of the San Juan Island.
What? It's all a big state to me up there.
Anyways, and then so those darn Canadians.
So Canadian Village Mama mentioned TMAC. If you're a TMAC member, that's another way to connect, including their conference. What's TMAC? Someone school me.
I don't know that one.
I don't know. Talk to us, a Canadian Village Mama.
I'm assuming CVN is Canadian.
So how do you get invites to these invite-only travel conferences? Beaches, moms.
Hey, that one you go to social media on the sand, and there's a link at the bottom that says interested. Well, it's just really, first of all, getting on the interest list. But that one, it's far from free. That one,
that one's not free, and neither is
tent, right?
Neither is TVEX.
Right, exactly.
So TVEX you pay for, and I know so TVEX is the one I just did in Fort Lauderdale. It was my first one ever. It is massive, and but you have these speed dating times where I guess it's called speed networking. I think of it as speed dating. That's what it's like. You get 10 minutes, but 1 minute is spent. 2 minutes are spent like in transition. Yeah. So you get 8 minutes with the person, and you can send invitations to these places, or they can invite you for a date, and a network. So anyways, so you fill up your day, and then you just run around.
The whole new kind of blogging now, right?
I know, it is an interesting format.
So we had a question about social media on the sand. At least I thought I posted the link. Did I post the link?
Just tell me more.
I don't see it. Nope.
All right, hold on. There we go. So I just posted a link to it. This is basically, I guess the best way to describe it is a conference, but it's really a sponsored conference by beaches, resorts. Now it's up there twice. In case you missed it the first time. But it's sponsored, and I put the website up there because there is a place on there to say if you're interested in. It's wine o'clock. If you're interested in
wine o'clock, always
in getting on the list and basically expressing interest in learning about opportunities that might be available, you can sign up on there. I became aware it's organized by Maria Bailey, who does a lot with mom bloggers. So, and she's worked with the Disney social media moms, whatever it's called. Sorry. But one thing I want to talk about too is airfare, right? Because my impression is that most of the time you may get lodging or you may get invited somewhere, but airfare isn't necessarily covered. What's been your experience?
It varies.
I thankfully have not had to pay for airfare because that, like the trip that I just did, I can't imagine if I had to, just with all the stopping and going sort of thing.
From Turks and Caicos, I can tell you, it ain't cheap.
Wow. Yeah, no. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I think that's the part of it as well, is there's always that investment part. Do you know, and that's the perception again, where it's like, oh, you know what I mean? I mean, I had to pay for some stuff, but I was pretty lucky. But that's always something that I'm nervous by when you get offered certain things, because you do have to factor in cost depending on what's being offered and what's not, right? And then what that's and like what that's going to mean, and you know what I mean, like where.
Well, and I imagine living near a major airport helps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wait, why the laugh?
Oh, because it takes me like 5 hours to get to a major airport. They don't have be like, I know the conference isn't for another 4 days, but I'm leaving now. So I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. And I still may be late because if the ferry doesn't come,
right.
no, it's like
I get my kayak out and we row. Yeah.
I would totally do that. And how about working with airlines in general? Because again, the impression I get is that they're not really into working with social media influencers. What's been your experience?
Everything I've heard about airlines is it's their own little thing. So I have not had any luck with getting any sort of compensation or deal or gift cards or anything. But I know some people do like ambassadorships, I think, with some, and some people go on trips for. You know, like a friend just went to Costa Rica for Southwest to celebrate their inaugural flight.
Man, I want to get on that list.
I know, but nothing else afterwards. Like they just got her down there and back.
They got her down there and said, "Good luck, have fun."
Yeah, there's
no here that way.
No, same thing. They were doing, I think it was Virgin, and they were doing that. What's the really fast jet?
Oh yeah, because
Concorde.
The Concorde, and they did a Concorde flight. No, it was. I'm pretty sure.
I thought they stopped.
There's no more Concorde.
That's what I was like. I thought they were done.
Anyway, they went from like Toronto to like Switzerland.
Yeah,
and they flew 2 influencers out, and then they turned around and flew them back.
Came back.
Yeah.
Well, I remember a couple years ago when Angry Birds was really popular. Trust me, I know how popular it was.
This is a whole new conversation, right?
Like, where are we going? Are we supposed to slingshot ourselves?
No, let's hear. Because I think it was Finnair, because it's made by a Finnish group. Finnair did a cross promotion with Angry Birds where they were looking for like the biggest Angry Birds fan. They flew them over to Helsinki. And then they flew them like to Singapore and back. It was and I know someone that was actually part of that. She was
cool.
Yeah, it had to do with your social media following more than your travel.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I was lucky enough to go on a trip with TomTom. So I guess I am a travel blogger.
Yeah, and GPS company.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they flew all 5 of us. So we had 5 tickets and 2 weeks in St. Lucia, all inclusive, and cash.
See, I haven't even gotten that kind of job.
Right.
So, and not just cash. But cash, right? So and we had to chart the island with TomTom.
See, Julie needs to just be talking. I need that job. My husband would love it. He loves getting lost.
That was good. It's crazy because St. Lucia really doesn't have street signs and that kind of stuff. So we got to drive around.
But you really, I mean, as long as you don't go into the ocean, you're kind of good.
Theoretically. Yeah, but there's places you don't want to go in St. Lucia.
Gotcha.
So let me ask a question about...
Okay.
Oh, may I?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to say something. I don't want to forget it.
No, go ahead. You go ahead then.
No, it's good. You're good.
Okay. I'll go. About your perception in the industry. And I bring this up because I work in the auto industry quite a bit. And so I may go on press trips with other, usually they're called lifestyle bloggers or lifestyle writers. And usually we're there separately from like the hardcore auto journalists, but sometimes the two of them coincide. And I don't know if you guys experience that as well. And if you play nicely, or if there's any perception about like, oh, you're a blogger, or tell me about that.
Oh, I think there's always, like, I really respect the whole blogging industry because it's something that I'm getting into late, but you can see that hesitancy at times because I think it's just, again, lack of education. So people jump to a conclusion instead of really taking in, like in anything, what that person's presenting and what they can do. So I always go into these really open-minded. Like the trip I just did, I experienced my first fam. So I was surrounded by travel agents, and I just found it fascinating, like their dynamic and the questions that they had and their concerns and stuff like this. And I like to look at it as like a learning curve, because you come away understanding and having a different perception because you've been traveling with somebody else who's looking at it from a different way. So I think when you're able to bring groups together that are kind of coming at it, you know what I mean, with their own specialty, it should be a benefit. It should be something that you kind of look fondly upon. But I've also seen at times that that's not always the case. Like there's a bit of like, oh, okay. You know, like, did you win the contest kind of thing instead of respecting the facts? Yeah.
I did a press trip with Bridgestone to Denver. Maybe I am a travel blogger. I don't know. But we were there with a bunch of auto people, and they were great. They were fabulous. I mean, we kind of stood by because we're a bunch of silly, giggly, you know, we're women, and we're a bit more creative potentially.
Did you just say because we're women? Did you just say that? Silly women. We don't think about cars.
Burn. That was bad. Okay,
I know what you meant. I'm just giving you a hard time.
You know what? But yeah, we were coming at it from a different way. We were like, cool, we're driving on ice. Right. Are you kidding me? And they were coming from this, well, what is the technical inch of the... I'm like, I don't...
Right. We're like, this is
right?
fun. Woo!
Let's do a donut.
But it was, I was in a car driving back to the airport with a gal who runs a large auto publication. I didn't really understand. And she was amazing. I mean, it was brilliant to hear what she built from her angle, and to hear this media side and this journalist side, and for her to hear my side of what I'm doing. And it was almost like, you know, an architect and a painter, an artist, talking together, right? Like that was what it was for me. She had this whole different entry into the industry than I did. Right. And it was really interesting to hear her perspective and hear her view on things too. So,
well, you know, the other thing that always shuts people up right away is when, you know, they work for a publication, they're being paid to be there and you're not. So they're kind of like, oh, okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
The last,
which is why we steal the donuts, right?
That's right. So my last big question, and then whoever else has anything that they want to mention, whether you've stuck with us for this broadcast, or you've just joined us, is what advice would you give to someone interested in travel blogging? And I say this because, and I'm sure you've noticed it too, that people that have been in this for a while, all of a sudden I'm noticing that they're changing their monikers and they're changing their Twitter bios, and all of a sudden they're a travel blogger. Yes. I mean, is it as simple?
But you just hashtag that and it happens, right?
Is it as simple as saying I'm a travel blogger, and you know, if you build it, they will come? What would be your advice?
I think I'll chime in because I see this very much because when I started and I added in the lifestyle side, but I had formed this group of travel writers who are travel writers. And it's kind of funny how they look at lifestyle bloggers who sit there and say that they're travel bloggers all of a sudden just because they went on a trip. And so there is definitely, I think, a difference there with, you can't just say you're a travel blogger just because you take trips. There's a storyline and there's a method to the madness. And I think that's where sometimes lifestyle bloggers get into trouble, is they sit there and go, okay, well, our family arrived on this day and then we checked into the hotel. Then we went to dinner. Next, we got up and played putt-putt golf. Here's my kids doing all of these activities, each step. And it's like, okay, that's great. And if you have this lifestyle following who wants to follow what your family's doing, like a reality sort of thing, then that's good. But I think to do to be a travel blogger, you have to be thinking of what is the goal of the destination, What is your storyline? How are you going to sell that destination to your readers? How do they fit? You know, like you were saying, Julie, on wanting to do luxury travel. There's so many people who are like, oh yeah, I want to do luxury travel. I mean, I was at a recent conference.
I was just kidding. I was totally
No, I know. I'm just saying. No,
I'm not.
But I'm not, because that's what happens. And that's what I'm trying to say is that, so, I mean, everybody wants to do that, but it's like, well, that wouldn't come naturally to me. No, you're fine.
Okay.
But, I mean,
okay, I will do luxury travel though. If somebody wanted me to do it.
3 chickens
I
in a
would
boat.
do it.
Luxury travel.
okay, so
Right.
I think I told you this, didn't I, Fadra, that there was recently at an event I was at, a person who did like couponing, blogging, and trying to pitch a 5-star resort about getting her family to come there. And
If it's on sale, it's great.
yeah. So, and life with baby, there's nothing that says you can't have a travel aspect. She just said, you know, she should stick to lifestyle blogging. There's nothing that says you cannot have a travel aspect, because your readers and your followers would love to watch where you're going on vacation. Yeah. It's just a matter of how are you monetizing that? What's the purpose of that? And then maybe it's like, okay, we're going on a trip, because if you're doing travel blogging, very rarely, and I don't know if Paula's had this, am I offered, sometimes you get a +1. Because they can get a double room just as easily as they can get a single bed. But other than that, and
you're on your own.
You're on your own. And so you're either paying to bring your family along and you work while they go have their own adventure, because you do not see each other.
Right.
No, it does not work that way. So I think it's important that if you want to get in, if you're going to be a lifestyle blogger, or if you're a blogger who wants to do travel blogging, you understand what is travel blogging, what's your voice in the niche, how are you selling a destination to your readers, where is the fit for that? And so that's my advice. Sorry.
And I think that's true for any niche of blogging, right? You've got to have a purpose if you're now starting to working with brands, right? It's not just blah. No. You've got to have a purpose and understand that the goal that they want and how to deliver results to that goal.
Absolutely.
So I like
not to.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, not to interrupt. I think because I'm kind of new to it, like I wouldn't classify myself yet as a travel blogger. I would like to get into that more so. But to me, like I said before, it's a curve that I'm on. So it's like I'm trying to build up content, experience, language, and then also to understand what is my voice in all of this before titling myself. So again, if you've already started with a niche, I think that's fantastic. And I think evolution is definitely part of that. But I too get wary if somebody really quickly like starts trying to grab all these titles. Yeah. Because then I'm just like, it's like when you see people's profiles and they say, you know, they live between Paris and Toronto. And you're like, okay.
In the middle of the ocean, or
I think it's like Paris, Texas.
They live in Nova Scotia, right? Sounds good.
So I'd like to mention what Frugal Web Guy said about voice is so important. And I think life with a baby, maybe you're kind of in the same boat I am. So my blog is All Things Fadra at allthingsfadra.com. And I started out basically niche-less. I'm like, I'm just going to write about whatever I want to write about. And it happened to be a little bit of everything but what's helped me is my voice is pretty consistent throughout. So whether I'm talking about technology or whether I'm talking about travel, it's me. I say I'm the star of my own show, not because I love myself, but because people.
But you do love yourself, and that's important too.
I'm all right.
She's lovable.
But you know what I would say is you can definitely make travel part of your blog, which is what I've done on mine. It's honestly, I don't have the time to make it a full-time career. If you look at someone like Carol Payne from, what's her blog? Girl Gone Travel. Girl Gone Travel. I mean, she is gone all the time.
But there's an interesting thing about Carol and talking about voice. I've been following her for a while, and maybe it just seems even recently she's really come upon a new voice for her stories. And she's bringing so much more to the table, even over the past 2 years from when I first started following her. So it's interesting to see how that can happen, that, you know, as you do, your world impacts you too. So as you are a traveler, you know, like I'm family travel now, but eventually my kids are going to be grown up, and I need to figure out a way that hopefully my readers will move with me through that transition, or my voice might change and I might have new, whatever the case may be. But I think it's, sorry, that was it.
All right, well,
okay,
we were not. So we did not plan to run this long this week. Obviously, we had some technical issues in the beginning. We got about 5 minutes. 5 minutes. No, that's not you, Paula.
It was not you, Paula.
We had other issues as well. No, that's fair. That wasn't directed at you. I figured out why I had the echo. I won't tell you why, because it was definitely user error. But
why did you have the echo?
Because I also had my blog open that had the embedded Blab on there, so it was like yeah, I know. I didn't want to,
but that's good. We're learning. It's all about learning, right?
Now I sound stupid. So in the last 5 minutes, if anybody has like any wrap up or any burning question or anything, let's go for it. Or tell me what your next trip is that you've got going on.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, Julie.
What actually are brands or destinations looking for? What are the results they want? So when you, like, I mean, I know I get copy and they say, do this, do this, do this. We get mandatories. What do you guys get? What are they actually looking for?
For me, the Nevis component is just because they're completely dependent on tourism. So it's just to increase awareness, make sure, because there's a huge misconception that it's hard to get to, which it's not. So even just to kind of like,
did you just say?
What?
It wasn't hard to get to. It was just
Thank God my flights were covered.
Yeah. And then the other two were about the places that I was staying. So just to kind of like push the hotels themselves and the specifics and what you get. And you know what I mean? Like kind of traveling and almost geo-mapping the grounds kind of from a photography standpoint sort of thing, which was kind of fun. So those kind of seem to be the two components, the two angles that I get most often. So
is your audience tolerant of, like, you've gone and you've got this hotel and you've got, and maybe they're gorgeous photos, but do you ever sense that they're like, oh God, here we go again with her trip? And
I try to be, because thinking of that myself, like I always try to put myself in the viewer's shoes, because I don't want to do that. I don't want it to be like, here it is again. Do you know what I mean? Or try to become
Don't look
formulaic.
At my Instagram feed from beaches. Saturated.
But see, here's where it shows who you're attracting, because I actually gained tons from that beaches event. I gained tons.
Oh,
so
awesome.
that was good for me. I was like, man, my readers want me posting 8 times a day. That never happened. It was crazy.
They're all sitting in offices freezing, right?
Yeah.
They're like,
I hate you, but I love you.
I would.
Exactly. Yeah. You do get those envious. That is a big thing. Like with travel blogging, you'll get the people that'll be like, I haven't been able to take a trip because whatever. So you get a lot of those. I don't know if you've had that, Paula. So.
Yeah.
What were we? Oh, Julie, you were asking about what they're looking for. I think they definitely are looking for an exposure to your audience. They just want their destination covered. The interesting thing about travel blogging is most of the time it's not like what you have as a normal campaign. Sometimes you're given a hashtag, but not always. And you're given hashtags for like the CVB or the city in general. And it's just kind of share what you're doing. There's no preconceived things. I think if you were being paid, maybe it would be like, oh, you're going to produce X number of Instagrams, or you're going to produce X number of blog posts, things like that, where you get a little bit more specific. But really, I just did a big post for a trip I was on, and I worked really hard on it. And I just sent it to her, and she was just so happy. She had told me earlier that they had a trip last year and they didn't write anything. Like nothing at all the whole trip.
I've heard of that happening.
Yes. And it's a lot of money. And then also it's good for the companies where I linked to them, or I talked about because those people hosted or they provided a service. So all that works. They're just looking to get exposure in the market to more people who are interested in travel, so that maybe the next time they're thinking of taking a trip, they'll go, oh, remember that place that we saw, awesome kayaking?
Yeah.
Well, I could talk about travel honestly for another hour, but I don't think we'd keep our audience for that long. So I feel like I talked too long. Sorry. No, thank you so much
Oh wait, there's one last
How do
question
you
from
get
Life
paid
with
as a
Baby.
travel
How do you get
writer?
paid to be a travel writer?
Freelance, right?
You don't.
Well-
I think that, yeah.
Not unless you're huge and you can start leveraging that. And I think that there are people out there. I'm guessing Carol Kane gets paid. So if you are Carol Kane, then you're set.
Then you
But
get
no,
paid.
I'm just kidding.
Or by leveraging or building sponsorship opportunities.
I think
with the location,
ambassadorships, things
yourself.
like that. I know some people get ambassadorships, like hotels, different
Right.
things like that.
Hilton
I
has a
don't think you
program.
can. The big thing is, I don't think you can make a big career unless you're selling freelance or like even if I'm
So it's gotta be done
making my own
well.
products. I'm
I
making
say
my
very
own
well.
products. Yeah, there you go.
Very well.
What was that?
Find a rich guy. She's saying be a gold digger. No, I'm just kidding.
Very well. And
Yeah,
so
very.
thank you, Kimberly from stuffsuitcase.com and Paula from paulacm.com. Did I
Thank you.
get everything?
No.
Thank you so
definitely.
much. Phaedra and Julie will be back next week.
you,
You
Phaedra
want to tell Julie what we're going to talk about next
Oh
week?
yeah, we're talking dun dun dun. We're talking YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I met a
yeah.
YouTuber today.
So, but wait, we've got now. Do you have your guest confirmed, Phaedra?
She said yes, she would do it. I feel like the T's aren't crossed and the I's aren't dotted, but
But if we announce
Nice.
it, that might be enough to say
You're
that
booked.
committed.
Go.
So I'm super excited. I've invited David Delaporte of My Life Suckers. So Dave is the one that does all of those awesome mom parody videos.
Yeah.
And she became an internet sensation or like a YouTube sensation. She is fully monetized on YouTube, and she's going to kind of walk us through her strategy and what she's doing to A, do great videos, and B, build a career out of it.
Cool.
and I've invited Jessie Sanfilippo, known as Sugarlippo. I
who
think
kind of is one of my, like, she's my fangirl. I've got to tell you, I get a bit like,
I love, she's the only person I could just sit there with drool running down as I watch her videos.
Yeah.
So she's great. And she gave me a yes exclamation point that she would join us. So I'm going to take that as a yes. So it's going to be a great, and it's going to be, I think, a super fun discussion next week with no technical issues.
None. Not at all. No.
technical
So if you've got questions for Dava or Jessie or Phaedra or myself between now and next week, be sure to tweet them to us at Julie Nowell and at All Things Phaedra. And then join us next week, same time, same place. And we're going to break down YouTube without technical difficulties.
Nice.
Thanks, everybody. See you